A few years ago, I had a comfortable six-figure income as a dentist, and then I hurt my wrist snow skiing. This made me rethink how I was making money. But as soon as I learned this crucial fact about money, I decided to quit focusing on relying on only one income stream. And today, I'm going to teach you that fact, the most important lesson on money that I've ever learned. Now, I didn't learn this in college, and I certainly didn't learn this in dental school, which is a shame because it would have completely changed the decisions I'd made up until that point. Fortunately, I discovered it after practicing for about 10 years, which gave me plenty of time to readjust my financial path. And today, I want to share this lesson with you, hoping it causes you to think how you're currently making money and to inspire you to consider a different approach. Instead of following the traditional route of getting a job and working the typical 9 to 5, I want you to think about alternative paths that could lead to financial freedom much sooner than you thought. Let me explain this to you now. Before I do, this is Dr. Jeff Anzalone, a periodontist from Louisiana that wants to get you out of the rat race as quickly as possible. I put together a financial passive income guide. Click the link below this video. Now, most doctors have only one source of income, their earned income from working, from treating patients. You may be in this boat as well, myself included, up until just a few short years ago. Now I've learned how to build multiple streams of passive income so that slowly but surely I'm replacing my active income each year. First, I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you if this formula looks familiar to you. It goes something like this. You can earn a certain dollar amount per hour times a week. Most people working 40 hours a week. And at the end of the week, you're getting a what? You're getting a paycheck. Let me ask you a question. Where did you learn this formula from? Was it your parents, somebody in school, maybe one of your friends' parents, maybe from a past employer? You may still be going about this formula right now. Now, I actually learned this from my parents when I was about 12 years old, when I first started a lawn care business. I was mowing yards, cutting grass. So I was like, Dad, how do I get into this? What kind of equipment do I need? How do I charge people? Whatever. So my dad told me to kind of figure out what my hourly rate was. What's my hourly rate? And then work a certain number of hours. And then I'd make money. This was my first exposure to the idea that time equals money. This is what I thought. This was in my brain. This is what was instilled in me. All right. So let's say that the business, back then I worked for 40 hours, $15 an hour. That would mean I would make $600 that week. But if this is you now, or if this was me back then or whatever, what if you wanted to make more money? What if you right now want to make more money and you're following this formula? Well, you have two options. Well, you can work more hours, or you can increase your hourly rate. Now, the bad solution is what most people try to do. And I see the dentists and doctors that I coach all the time, they're focusing on this. They're working more hours. They're working more shifts. I've got some people that want to work, dentists that want to work on Saturdays and even on Sundays. That's not why I went to dental school. That's probably, if you're a dentist, you didn't go to dental school because of that. You don't want to work on the weekends. Most of the dentists around here don't even work on Fridays. And the thing is, sometimes when I see these people working all these extra hours, they start to brag about it. Oh, I'm working 80 hours. I took another shift. I'm working 100 hours this week just to make more money, because this is the only formula they know. They sacrifice their time. And you can't get your time back, right? And that's nothing to brag about. The better solution is to learn a more valuable skill so that you can increase your hourly rate. Maybe, depending on your situation, maybe you go to college or trade school. Maybe you take an online course or you learn a new trade. But there's an even better solution that has nothing to do with this, trading your time for money. The best solution to follow is to follow a different model that I'm already using right now. And you've probably heard about this as well. It's called passive income. Now, after that skiing accident that I mentioned to you earlier, I started exploring different ways to make money, because if I couldn't use my hands as a dentist, I couldn't provide for my family. So I started reading books and listening to what other wealthy people would talk about. And many of them always reference this one book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And when I started going through that book, that's when I learned the difference between active versus passive income. Okay. Now, active income. Let's start off with that first, because you're probably most familiar with it. Active income simply means You only make money when you're actively working. On the weekends and off hours, you make nothing. Now, the flaw with active income is that, again, this is always involved. Your time is always involved. Passive income, on the other hand, it means this: past efforts, things that you do in the past, equals your paycheck. Past efforts, things that you put in the work up front, past efforts gives you your paycheck. Whereas here, this formula was what? Our time. We had to keep giving people our time. You have to keep putting in your time to get a paycheck. Here, it's totally different. Hopefully the light bulb just went on for you, okay? So you put the work in up front and it continues to pay you over time. Let me share with you my aha moment. I actually got into this. I just actually got into this whole passive income thing because of that incident, because of that accident. And I actually didn't even realize I was going to start doing this, stumbled upon it. And now here we are today. I'm talking in front of you and I'm talking to you about what I've learned about making multiple income streams in multiple different areas. Okay. So when I was learning about, let me go ahead and erase this and give us some time, give us some room. So when I started looking at what wealthy people do, because I needed to find a way to replace the income if I couldn't work, wealthy people do two things. They invest in real estate and they have multiple streams of income. At the time when I got hurt, I didn't have any real estate and I only had one income stream like I talked to you about. So I noticed that this helped narrow down what I needed to do. I needed to focus on investing in real estate for multiple streams of income. But here's the thing. I knew I was going to be successful because I had this big burning desire, which is also known as your why. I had to do it. There was no stopping. There was no, okay, I'm going to try to do it. It was like, I'm going to do whatever it took. I'm going to do whatever it takes. I had failures. I don't call them failures. I call those learning experiences. I have them. I continue to have them. But it allowed me to get to the point where I'm talking to you now about this. So back then, this was probably 2016-ish, 2017. There wasn't a whole lot of material about this specifically to the doctor niche. And I was like, okay, I'm always typing on the computer and this and that. So why don't I start a blog? So I learned a skill. Remember we talked about one of the things you can do is learn a skill. I took a course, paid about $400 for it, and it taught me how to start a blog. Now, realize a redneck from Louisiana back then, that about the only thing that I could do with a computer was turn it on. And here I was learning how to start a blog. And if you can type, or maybe get somebody to type for you, if you can't type, you can run a blog. There's nothing to it, okay? I started learning this information about real estate and passive income and building multiple streams of income. Then I started to learn it. And then by learning it even more, I would put it on my blog, debtfreedoctor.com. And as of right now, as we're talking, I think I've got somewhere 400 or 500 articles right now. And this course that I took helped me figure out a way to write an article in such a way that the likelihood of it ranking on Google was very high. What's the point of putting in all the time and effort if nobody's going to see your article, right? So then after about 3 years or so, I started looking at how I was learning things. And I was like, well, I don't really read a whole lot of articles. I'm constantly out there looking at videos on a platform called, I'm sure you're familiar with this, YouTube, which actually started in 2005, which is when I graduated. And I tell my kids this all the time. I finished my residency in 2005. So what that means is I went through my whole training without being able to really get on the internet a whole lot, but no YouTube. And now they and you and probably your kids, they have this power that's in their pocket where they can literally ask it any question and have a video of like a how-to, just like we're talking on YouTube right now. It's amazing. So I started getting into something called real estate syndications. And I've got several videos on this. This is basically a way that it's a group investment to where we can invest our money, still focus on your biggest skill, your biggest wealth building tool is what you spent your time, energy, effort, and money on. If you went to dental school, you went to law school, you went to medical school, it's your career. And you could take that extra money that you're making and put it into this. You get the tax benefits, you get the passive income, you get the cash flow, you get the appreciation, you get all the things, just like if you were to go out and rent a house or buy something yourself. We buy a lot of RV parks and mobile home parks, but the thing is you don't have to deal with tenants. Other people deal with it, okay? So I started to do that. And then one of the groups that I was getting ready to invest in this apartment complex in Dallas, well, the group was like, well, Jeff, you've got this little list that you've built up from your blog, this email list. Why don't you see if some people want to invest alongside of you? We'll make it legal. We'll go through all the channels, whatever we need to do. It's like, okay. I sent out an email. So I sent out email number one, and I basically just kind of copied what they were sending out to their group, to their investors. And then I sent out a second one 48 hours later. And they informed me after that second email, they said, look, we were sending out our emails and you were sending out your emails, and you don't have to do it anymore because we've already filled up the deal. I said, okay, great. That's great. And at that time, I think I had about, on my email list, I had about roughly 210 people, something like that. Now we're over 3,000 people. But back then, this was like 2020, maybe like 2019, something like that. And they told me that after 48 hours, congratulations, Jeff, you had just raised $2.4 million. I was like, what? I just sent out 2 emails and I was able to raise $2.4 million for your real estate deal. Well, what's going on here? And again, you can go online and you can learn how to do all this stuff now about raising capital and making all these online business to make money. But that wasn't the reason I did it. I did it just because I wanted to get the word out of what I was doing to build value, to help people, because I know there was people in my situation, and there still is. And that's why I'm still doing this. But my point being is, I wanted to show you that I stumbled upon all this because of that situation. But if you erase all this and I went back in time and didn't do it, I would just have my dental income. That's it. Almost kind of walking on a tightrope. If something were to happen to me, what am I going to do? Which is how most people kind of operate. And then now that I had started doing this, now I'm raising more capital. I've got online courses. I've got coaching groups. I've got a mastermind that I'm starting this year. And look, none of this would have been possible. And you don't have to pay $400 to start a blog. There's actually free resources that you can go to YouTube right now and type in how to start a blog for free. Learning a skill. And now YouTube, now we're doing Facebook and Instagram reels and shorts and all of that stuff. But again, it starts with the skill. So you're probably asking yourself, okay, Jeff, this is great, but how can you start building passive income? I want you to think about what you enjoy. Like back then, I enjoyed writing. So I started a blog. Think about what you enjoy or maybe what you're good at. What are you passionate about? What are your interests? Again, whether it's starting a blog, YouTube channel, investing in something, could be investing in real estate. It could be crypto, stocks, farms, businesses, anything. Whatever, if you have hobbies, you like to play golf or tennis or hunt or travel or whatever, there's so many opportunities out there. It's limitless. Here's the key. The key is to take action and commit to it. I mean, you have to commit. And once you commit, it's like, hey, I'm burning bridges behind me. There's no going back. Commit to building at least get one under your belt, passive income stream. Okay, look, here's the bottom line that nobody out there is going to teach you. Passive income is a game changer. It allows you to reduce your working hours and increase your time freedom. That's the most important thing. Frees up your time. I want you to take a really hard look at how you're making money. If you're married, maybe sit down with your spouse, and I want you to look to see do you only have active income where you're trading time for money? Are those the only type of income streams coming in? More than likely, it is. But guess what? That's great, because now there's a ton of room for improvement. You've got other ways that you can make money that does not take up your time. Now, one of the first passive income streams that I ever received was from real estate. Remember, we talked about that a little bit earlier. And what I want you to do is check out this next video to find out more about how it works.